Welcome back everyone. In this video we're going to have a look at Mildura in the past and how it's transformed over the years. Just like the Mildura train station here. Stick around. Before we get started, I've got a bit of a brain teaser for you. So get the Google machines out and can you draw the line between Mildura's Carnegie building and the first privately owned residence in New York that was electrified. So i.e. light globes in the first privately owned house in New York and the Carnegie building. We'll come back to the answer in that later on in the video. Rightio, into the trains. Our first train to Mildura arrived on the 27th of October 1903, just 15 years after Mildura was established. Prior to this, our produce relied on the river trade. Victoria already had an established railway network in the country area, and the line to Mildura was an extension from Woomerang. How's this for a little known fact? Our train station nearly ended up on 15th Street, but at the time was considered too far out of town. Boy, if we only knew now. In the 20s, we were lucky enough to have a local service between Merbein, Mildura and Redcliffs, with about 60 services a week. The last passenger service was in 1993, although just recently we had a slow tourist train make its way here, which was plenty of fanfare and a bit of anticipation about it. So here's what she looks like today. The Grand Hotel's still up there in the distance, the train platform across here to the right, although it's more of a bus terminal nowadays. The ground surrounding the front of the train station is still really well maintained. The train station itself is nothing more than a glorified bus stop now, but it's still really well utilised. On to the next one. The Mildura Rotunda. I'm not sure exactly when this was built. I'm going to go with the early 1900s. I asked the former mayor of Mildura, Glenn Milne, when it was built, and he too was unsure. The only advice he gave me was, if you get this wrong, you're going to get completely owned on YouTube. So we're just going to go with the early 1900s. Let's have a look around. Looks like she's closed for repairs. Gate's down, so we'll wander up and have a quick look. We'll just be a little bit careful. Over 100 years old, I suppose it's allowed to have the occasional repair job done on her. That ironwork's really nice. Yeah, the floor's a bit ordinary, so I'm guessing that's what they're repairing. Geez, that pressed tin work is really nice. Needs a bit of a paint job, but geez, it's nice. There you go, she was built in 1914. Geez, we're close. On to the next one. The Mildura Club is one of our most historical landmarks and it was originally formed by one of our founding fathers, W.B. Chaffey, in 1890. I'm guessing W.B. enjoyed a drink as well. Originally the club was a male-only club and it was limited to businessmen and professionals. A lot of the interior remains the same inside the club and it's worth having a look at some stage. And isn't it fitting to see W.B. standing up there, keeping an eye down Deakin Avenue and his beloved club. 8th Street and Langtree Avenue. Obviously the T&G building's still here. The bank on our right here is now a nightclub and the mall down to the left and Feast Street to the right. It's certainly changed a lot here. And there she is today, the T&G clock there in the background. The old bank's now the Sandbar Pub or the Heaven nightclub. Certainly a lot's changed through here. We've got roundabouts. There was even traffic lights here at one stage, but they got pulled out and now we have a roundabout. We have a little bit of an addiction with roundabouts in Mildura. On to the next one. City Hall and Carnegie Library. Obviously the City Hall's gone now, but the Carnegie Library still stands and is being used by the Mildura Historical Society. The Carnegie Library was built by American steel pioneer Andrew Carnegie, and there's several of these around the world. For a little more context on Andrew Carnegie, he was a major player in the American Industrial Revolution, and when he retired at the age of 66, he was the richest man on the planet at that point. He built libraries right across the globe and donated books to them as well, and little old Mildura was a lucky recipient. I'm not 100% sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if he had business dealings with the Chaffey brothers either here or in California. And there she is today, originally built in 1908, but the clock tower was added at a later date. Now, have you worked out that brain teaser? So our Carnegie Library and all its books were donated by American steel giant Andrew Carnegie. J.P. Morgan purchased the steelworks off Andrew Carnegie when Carnegie retired at the age of 66. J.P. Morgan's house was the first private residence in New York to have light globes. This was completed by Thomas Edison. Mildura's Carnegie Library was where the lights were first switched on for Mildura. It's a long stretch, but I'm sure there's a link there. The Hotel Murray, a very popular spot back in the day. I honed my barman skills there in the 90s. All gone now, just a car park. The old base hospital. It's shaped like a pedal boat. I was hatched here in the 70s. Now it's just apartments. We have a new hospital. Well, not a new hospital. It's probably 25 years old. Let's have a look around. The old base hospital opened in 1892. It was closed in the year 2000 and sat dormant for quite some time until local developer Bob Forkhead got hold of it and turned it into these units. Bob's been responsible for quite a few developments like this around our region. He's done an amazing job of maintaining the hospital's heritage whilst also modernising it for the apartments. The old post office, still standing today. It's undergone quite a few changes over the years. Most notably, it was a nightclub for quite some time, and it was owned and run by the tightest barman in the Southern Hemisphere. He wouldn't even shout his old schoolmates a beer. And there she is today. She's looking a little bit shabby because she's waiting to be renovated. A local support agency purchased it and will be moving in as soon as they get it all renovated. And our iconic fountain. This was donated by Mrs. W.B. Chaffey. Mildura's Ozone Theatre, built in 1938 and apparently is super duper flash for its time. It held about 1,200 people and it was knocked down in the late 70s. The new building that replaced it here, now in the mall, was the bank. It's been a business centre and now it's a bit of retail. The mall's pretty quiet today, it is late Saturday afternoon, but generally speaking there's a bit of a divide in our community over the viability of the mall. Mildura's Grand Hotel. The Grand Hotel originally opened as the Coffee Palace in the very early days of the Irrigation settlement. There's so much history about this place that it really deserves a video all of its own. So we'll look at that at some stage, but check her out now. The hotel boasts somewhere around the 100-room mark, but it also has some fantastic restaurants from the Pizza Cafe right through to the Spanish Bar and Grill and Stefano's restaurant. Well, there you have it, guys. A little bit of a look at Mildura over time. There's so many more landmarks about that we could probably do another 2 or 3 videos on this same topic. But if you like this video, have a look at this one here, the restaurants of the Grand Hotel. Be good, stay safe, and bye for now.